Hi, how's it going, everybody? So now we're going to start today's Halloween SFX makeup class. I have my gorgeous daughter Lauren sitting off to the side here. I'm going to do a burnt hand on her to start with. I'm going to use some PVA glue, some tissue, some fake blood. But if you don't have fake blood, I'm going to use some red food colouring and olive oil and mix it together and show you. So I'll be popping between. You'll see me on one camera and then you'll see Lauren's hand on the next camera, and I'll be watching out for any questions. If I miss your question, I promise that I'll have a look through the comments afterwards and then I'll reply to them all individually. Anyone who has signed up through Eventbrite, I'll be sending you a link to these videos as well so that you can look back on them and do them again with your kids at a later stage. So just some housekeeping tips to start off with. If the area that you're working on is nice and clean, I would get a nice dark towel and put it underneath the area that you're going to be working on, because if we have any spillages with the red blood or the red food colouring, it does stain and it's really hard to get off. Next, if you're going to be working on a child who has really sensitive skin, do a little patch test first with the products that you're going to put on them, just to make sure that they're not too sensitive to them. So if you're going to be putting PVA glue on this part of their hand, do a little test on this part of their wrist. If you're going to be putting on their face, do a little patch test behind their ear. Leave it on the area for 5 to 10 minutes. If it's red or irritated or itching or burning, don't put the product on that area of their skin. I'll also be showing you how to remove the product at the end of this. And again, if you've any questions, type away in the chat. If I don't see them, I will come back to you. So now I'm going to flip over and put Lauren's hand on the screen. And then I'll be talking all the way through it as well. So just give me 2 seconds. Okay, so this is the lovely Lauren's hand. And I'm going to start off with my PVA glue. And I'm going to put it on her hand. So I'm just going to squirt it on to her hand. So 2 little drops, not too much. And I'm going to use this sponge just to work it into the skin. So it's a nice thin consistency. And this is really good. You could do this on your face as well. And I'm going to get some tissue paper. So this is just normal toilet roll. And I'm going to pull it apart into really thin sections. So that's 1 ply. And I'm going to just rip off some little bits and sit it on top of the area that I put the PVA glue onto. I'm going to use my sponge. Again, if you don't have a sponge, just use your fingers. It's no problem. And just push it in to the skin. Add a little bit more PVA glue. And this is going to layer up. So we do 3 to 4 layers of this, and it looks like the skin is burnt and peeling. It's really gruesome, actually, when it's done. I used to, I do this regularly. I teach my students how to do SFX makeup the week leading up to Halloween, and some of them get really icky. They don't like it. So if you feel like that, just look away. It's no problem. So we're going to just another layer of PVA glue and then another layer of tissue. So if you have latex, a lot of the SFX makeup artists would use latex for this effect, and it's skin coloured, or you can get it in clear as well. So this is instead of using latex. Save you all a fortune. I'm sure most of you have it in the press from kids that like to make slime, like mine. And I'm just putting a light layer of the PVA glue over the tissue. And letting it dry in. So we'll do another layer of tissue. More down here for this area here. Push it into place. A bit more tissue up here, and the purpose of this is so we can pull it up and make it look like the skin is falling off the hand. We can put stuff inside it like guts and gore to make it look even more realistic. Some more PVA glue. And I just want to make sure that I get that PVA glue on all of the tissue, because that's going to stick the tissue to the hand. How's it feeling, Lauren? Is it icky or cold? Just cold. That's good. I might do another layer of tin tissue. So if you wanted, you could do this effect as well over your mouth. I'm going to do it on Wednesday to do like the Joker smile. We use the PVA glue and the tissue, and we're going to use some foundation, the same color as your skin, just to match it into your skin coloring. And if there's other looks that you'd like me to do, feel free to add them in the comments, and I'll do another class on them as well. So I'm going to do a class on Wednesday at 12:30, and another class on Thursday at 12:30. And it'll be different looks to what I did today, but there will be similar products being used. So no need to run off to the shops and buy any expensive products. Shops are closed anyway, so there's not very many places that you can get stuff from anymore. I'm sure Dunn's and Tesco's and Super Value have PVA glue readily available in their stationery sections. Tissue paper is readily available, because we all, well, the last lockdown it wasn't, but this lockdown it is. Some coffee granules I'm going to use on this as well to create a charred look. And some face paints. So I'm just going to fan it a little bit. I'm actually going to use a little bit of a hairdryer on cool, low heat to speed up the process. Sorry about the noise. So sorry about that noise. I just wanted to speed up the process for you, so you're not sitting there for ages looking at a board screen. So you can see as it's still a bit too wet now, because when I'm pressing on it, the tissue is just jumping up. So we want it to be a little bit more dry than that. And while that's drying, I'm going to show you how to make food colouring into fake blood. So in this, I have some food colouring I'm going to put in. So this is just red food colouring. So it's already gooey. I want to make it a little bit more runny. And what I do is I add a little bit of olive oil, not too much. Mix it around. Let's give it a good stir. Now I want to make it look like guts. So in order to do that, I can add in some cotton wool. So I just get some cotton wool and drop it in. Mix it around. It starts to look like guts. So I'm just going to get another toothpick to separate the three. So this is what I'm going to fill the tissue with to make it look like guts and gore. I'm going to use some coffee granules as well, just to make it look like it's being charred. So, some coffee granules. So now it's getting a little bit drier. What I'm going to do is get my stick and just start pulling the skin up little by little, making little holes. And I'm going to fill these holes then with the coffee granules and the guts. Just lifting it up easily. I don't want to take it off the skin altogether, so just easily lifting it up. And I know it's white at the moment, but don't worry too much about that because we can use the face paints then to change the colour of it. So you just move your hand there. So you can see the way it's sitting up off the skin. Still a little bit wet, but that doesn't matter. We're going to get some of the guts and just fill in the holes with little bits of the guts. Just separate that out a little bit more. We just want tiny little amounts in here because we don't want them to start falling off the hand when she starts moving around. Just tiny little amounts. Stick them into the holes, and then as the glue starts to dry, it'll grab onto the cotton wool as well and keep it in place a little bit longer. How's the lighting, guys? Can you see everything? Just let me know in the comments and I'll know then that you're able to see properly. Now, if you don't have food colouring, you could always use red lipstick mixed in with the olive oil and then add in your cotton wool. So now I'm going to add in some of these coffee granules, and then when they get the glue on them, they start to go really dark and look like burnt skin. So I'm just gone. Hard to see the detail. Okay, grand. Is that any better? It's very bright, right? I've turned, oh, maybe over this way a bit. Is that a little bit better, Rachel? Too bright, okay. So can you see a little bit better, guys? Okay. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the guts and gore in here, and then I'm going to start painting it. So just fill in the whole with the cotton wool dipped in food colour. Yeah, I don't have a blind. I turned the light off there, Denise. Thanks. Well, unfortunately, we have a big window. So just when the sun shines, it blinds out everything. I'm just going to add some extra coffee beans in here. I'm now using my sponge. Just going to dip some blood over the areas where I've put in the coffee granules and where I've put the cotton balls dipped in the food colouring. This is the fake blood, and I'm just literally patting it on with the sponge. I don't want to use too much here because I don't want it to be running all over her hand. So literally just gently dabbing it into place. Oh, that's good. Thanks so much. So gently dabbing the blood in because I don't want it running off her hand. Everywhere that I've put in the little holes, I'm just dabbing some extra blood over it. So you can see now it just looks like blood and guts. And now the plan is to make this now look like it's burnt skin and it's just falling off her hand. So I'm going to use a little tiny bit of black face paint. These are only the cheap ones that we got in deals. It was $1.50 for this little set. And I'm just going to colour in all the outside of the tissue paper. Just little bits, doesn't have to be anything too drastic. So tiny little bit of black. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of yellow. Again, you don't have to be too perfect here. Just scribble it in wherever you want it. Just give it a little bit of depth. Now, I'm just going to use a little tiny bit of foundation. It's similar colour to Lauren's skin tone. And I'm going to go around the outside of the tissue that hasn't got the blood on it, just to blend it in a little bit. And again, I'm just using the sponge really gently. Yeah, Andrina, it was PVA glue and then a layer of really thin tissue. So I separated out the tissue. Then I put another layer of PVA glue and another layer of tissue. And in all, I did about 4 layers of PVA glue and tissue. And then as it was drying, I did use a hairdryer just for a couple of seconds to speed up the drying process. But as it was drying, I just got a toothpick and started to pick up the skin so that it looked like it was falling off. So move your hand like this way. So you can see nothing's falling out now. And all I want to do now is just make sure that it looks real. So I want to make sure that there's no white tissue showing. Just going to use the sponge to melt the blood into any of the white tissue. Foundation around the side just makes it look a little bit more like skin. And just blending it in. If you don't have face paints, what we could use is some black eyeliner to create the charred look. So I just have a little bit of black eyeliner here on a sponge. It's just gel eyeliner. If you don't have food colouring and you have a red lipstick, just mash it in with a little bit of olive oil to make it runny. And if you don't have foundation but you have concealer, you can do that as well. You can add the concealer actually into the PVA glue or the foundation into the PVA glue and it'll look more like skin. That's what I'm going to do when I do her broken nose. So this is actually a really good look as well for if you want to do it on the face and you want to do it at the side of the mouth. So again, your layer of PVA, layer of tissue, layer of PVA, layer of tissue, do about 3 or 4 layers and then you can get a scissors and cut a line down through. I'm going to be doing that look on Wednesday and I'm going to do it as a slit throat as well. So we can have a look at that on Wednesday, but just some different ideas for you to play around with today while you have the stuff out. Again, I am going to be sending you all links to these videos as well. Your comments are very much appreciated, so let me know what you think of it. I know the lighting was an issue at the beginning, but hopefully it's starting to set itself down. So there you go. That's the burnt hand. Do you like it? I hope you all love it. Yes, they will be saved, Keela. I'm going to email them on to anyone that has signed up through Eventbrite. I'm going to email them the link. They'll also be available on the Facebook page to rewatch. So yeah, you can rewatch them and you can practice them out. So just want to make sure that this tissue looks like skin. And then we're going to move on to her face. So yeah, move your hand around. So you can see there's nothing falling off. There's no blood falling off because we use the sponge to push it into place. And as the glue is starting to set, it's holding on to the cotton buds that are filled with the food colouring, so it looks a bit more gutsy. But I can pull it around and make bigger holes if I want. So don't forget, you're going to put on the PVA glue, tissue, and more. Let it dry a little bit, and then start using your toothpick to pick up the skin. Mix some cotton wool or tissue paper, so toilet roll would do the same, in with your food colouring or your fake blood and push it into the holes. Then sprinkle some coffee beans over the holes just to add more of a charred look, and then add some more food colouring or fake blood on a sponge just to make it look a little bit more real. And now I'm just adding some more coffee granules and just pushing it in with the sponge. Now, what I will say, if you're going to be using this on a man and he has really hairy arms, it's going to be sore to take off. So I'm going to show you how to take it off now safely, and that if it is going to be on a man, that it won't hurt as much as what it does if there wasn't any hair there. Okay, so just turn your hand upside down for me. So you can see nothing's falling off. She can move her hand. And it looks quite gruesome, yeah? So now I'm going to take it off. So how I take it off is, and I actually will move the camera for the next one because the sun is starting to shine in. So to take it off, all I need is some olive oil. I just pour it over. I'm going to work it in with a tissue. I'll put some more olive oil on the tissue also. Just wipe it in and just break down that PVA glue, and it should just wipe away easy enough without any pain. Now again, if this is going to be a really hairy area, you need to put more oil on, just so that it doesn't pull on the hair and rip the skin, or just it's uncomfortable. So a little bit of oil rub it into the skin. If you don't have olive oil, coconut oil or almond oil or peanut oil or rapeseed oil are all the same. You can do it with any of them. So I'm just going to work that into the skin now. And this will help to stop the food colouring from staining her skin too much as well. Genevieve, don't worry, it's going to be recorded on Facebook, so you can go back and watch it with the boys at any stage. So that's how we remove it. A little bit of stainage, but not too much, but the oil has taken the most of it away, so that's great. Now we're going to work on doing a broken nose. She's not a bit happy now about showing her face, but don't worry. So for this one, I'm just going to flip the camera around. Hiya. So I'm going to put it closer. As you can see, Lauren's delighted to be here today. Okay, so for a broken nose, I'm going to use Pritt stick as the scar. So it's just normal everyday Pritt stick. And I'm just going to scrape it off. So we're going to take, you can use a knife. I'm just using one of these little spatula things. So I have a good amount. I'm going to put it on the bridge of her nose because that's normally where the bone would break. And then just using my fingers and working it down into the skin. So start with the outsides first. It will start to melt really easily. And just starting with the outsides, just work it down onto the skin. You can leave the thickest part on the actual bridge of the nose. And then just working the side bits down to stick them in place. If your skin is really oily, I would recommend using a little bit of PVA glue first to give the wax something to hold on to. So you do a layer of PVA glue and then your layer of Pritt stick. Or do your layer of Pritt stick and then do a layer of PVA glue over it. I'll do that now just to show you. So just working the sides down. This is great as well if you want to, I'll be doing it during the week, if you want to create deep holes in something, so like a bullet hole, you would just do a big circle of Pritt stick and then do a hole in the middle of it. And so, you know, the way we use contouring in makeup, we use contouring for SFX as well. So if you use black in the center of a scar or a hole, it makes it appear deeper. So this is working out great now, this Pritt stick. You know, I've actually never used Pritt stick in SFX makeup or PVA glue. I normally have to use latex and the sculpting wax and stuff. So it's actually a brilliant alternative. So much more readily available and costs less money as well. So you can see it's just a big lump of Pritt stick on the side of her face. If you wanted, you could actually create a lump on the end of her nose, give her an Annie McPhee nose. I did it once. I actually made a complete nose out of latex and modelling wax and made a new nose. I made my sister into Wurzel Gummidge. So it's just layering it up. So you get your PVA glue now, just a light layer of it, and completely cover everywhere that you've used the Pritt stick. It's just going to make it last longer, especially on these parts of your faces are a little bit oilier. Your face is, skin in your face is oilier than on your arm and your hand. So as the day goes on, it starts to heat up. It can end up melting off. So the PVA glue is just going to help it last that little bit longer. So a layer of PVA glue over your Pritt stick. And while that's drying, I'm going to give her a black eye. So in order to give her a black eye, I'm going to use these little face paints that I got. You can use eyeshadow. So I'll do a little bit with the face paints and I'll do a little bit with eyeshadow. So the base colour of a black eye is blue and yellows. So if you have blue and yellow eyeshadow, you can do that. Or if you have blue and yellow face paints, we can do that. So I'm going to use a little bit of yellow first and just coming in at the tear duct. And again, I'm not going to be too perfect with it because black eyes aren't perfect. I'm just going to work a little bit in and using my finger, just working it into the skin. Because I want it to just blend seamlessly with the skin. I don't want it to look like it's makeup. I want to look like it's a black eye just wearing off. So when you break your nose, you generally do get 2 black eyes. And depending on the severity of the broken nose, it can be really, really black and your eyes will be bloodshot. But I'm literally going to give it to her like she had a nose job. So just working the yellow in. My ring finger, your ring finger has the least amount of pressure, so it's not going to pull on the skin too much. I always recommend that you use your ring finger as well when you're applying any products around your eye area, especially skincare products. So I'm going to use a little bit of blue next. I'm literally just working it in over anywhere that I've used the yellow. And just gently pushing it in to the skin using my ring finger. So I'm just going to gently layer it because again, I don't want it to look really, really fake. I want it to look like she really does have a black eye. I'm going to work it in just above onto her brow bone as well. And again, the food colouring and the fake blood on your face is going to stain. So the best thing to take it off is anything with oil in it. So coconut oil, olive oil, anything like that to remove it will help protect your skin from the staining and it will take it off without pulling on the skin as well. So we're just a little bit of yellow and blue. Going to darken it out now. A little bit of green. So again, just in the area that I've done the yellow and blue, I'm going to put the green in as well. I'm working it into place. So it's starting to come together now. A little bit of black or a dark, any kind of dark eyeshadow would be great as well. So I might just add a little bit of eyeshadow in so I'll show you how to do it. So I'm going to use a fluffy makeup brush now and using some eyeshadows. I'll use a little bit of a blue eyeshadow as well. Just tiny amount. I'm working it in with my finger. Because I want it to look messy. I want it to look like the skin is trying to heal itself. I'll add in a little bit of brown next. So again, just a tiny bit on the brush and then work it in with your finger. So the darkness now is going to just give depth and make it look like our eyes are deeper back into our head. a little bit of red to make it look like some broken veins. And I'm not wiping off my fingers in between, because I'm just letting all the colours blend in together. Because that's the way bruises are. They just look like a blend of all different colours. Maybe a bit closer. So you can see it's starting to get a little bit darker. I'm going to add in now some dark eyeshadows and a little bit of the fake blood. So now I'm going to go in with like a really dark brown eyeshadow. Look up to again on a fluffy brush. And then just using my finger to work it in. So again, another dark brown right up underneath the bottom lashes. And just work it in with your finger. Look up to this guy. So you can see that's a really dark brown, but when I put it over the green and the yellow, it's starting to go purple, and that's what we're aiming for. So we want it to look a little bit more purpley. And I'll use it all over our lids now. Again, what that's going to do is just make our eyes look like they're deeper back into our head. Using your finger just to work it in. And then inside the inside corner of your eye, so where your tear duct are, you just want to really darken that out. So it looks proper bruised and it looks like you're really after getting a punch in the eye or a punch in the nose. So working it into that tear duct area. So you can see now her eyes are starting to look like they're more closed. And that's what the dark colour does. So if you put really dark colour in anywhere, it makes that area go backwards, more closed. So we're doing it in here to make it look like our eyes are more closed. So really darkening there, tear ducts. And now I'm going to start on her nose. So a little bit of that dark colour as well on the bridge of the nose, going across to join the two eyes up together. Yeah. Starting to really come together now. So a little bit more of that darkness. And again, anything with makeup is add. So don't go in with too much at the beginning because it's hard to take it away. Go in with a little bit at the start and then just keep adding more as you go to get the look that you want. And there's always an ugly stage. There's always a stage where it looks like it's crap. And then the more that you add to it, the better it gets. So just take your time, add a little bit as you go. Look at photographs. So look at people that have real black eyes or real broken noses or real burns. Go up to this guy. And just look at what they've got and try to recreate it. Look up to this guy again. So I'm coming down all the way around the tear duct, inside corner, and then down underneath the tear duct again, to really make her look like she has a black eye. So look at me for a second. Yeah, so that's really coming together now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the actual broken nose bit. I'm going to touch it first to make sure that it's dry and set. So it's dry and set, and I'm going to use the toothpick to make a hole, a line. So literally push it down into the Pritt stick, separating it, giving a nice line in it, and now I'm going to start painting that area. So using some of the cotton wool dipped in the food colouring, just a really thin amount of it, I'm going to fill the hole with that. So literally just putting it into that crack that I've made. So it looks like a really deep scar. I'm going to add some coffee beans in there as well, just to darken it up and make it look deeper. Just take a jab. So literally have just dropped in 3 coffee beans into the center of the scar, push them into place with the toothpick, and then I'm just going to dip the toothpick into a little bit of fake blood or food colouring and push it in over the coffee beans. Now just add a little bit more. So it's really starting to look really very deep now. I'm going to add some more coffee beans in because they go really black when they get wet, and it just makes it look so much more realistic. So adding in coffee bean, another coffee bean, another coffee bean. Push it into place. Now that's really not going anywhere. It's stuck in there with the PVA glue, and as the PVA glue and the Pritt stick start to set, it's going to grip onto it even tighter, so it's not going anywhere. So if you were going to a fancy dress ball, it would last. Now we're going to start painting up that area so it looks more realistic. So again, the same colours that we used on the eyes, I'm going to use on the cut as well. So I'm going to go in with brown eyeshadow first to give it the appearance of skin. Just pushing it into place with the brush. Go all over the Pritt stick. Just pushing it into place. Now, if you find that any of it is lifting, just use the back of your brush and just push it down into place, and then put a little bit extra PVA glue over that area. So this bit here is just lifting a little bit. It's because she's blinking and that area moves a little bit more. So maybe I left it a little bit too thick up here. So if I just tin it out with the back of the brush, blend it down into the skin, it won't lift anymore. Just take it away from her eye area where there's too much movement. Using the brush with the brown eyeshadow on, I'm just pushing it in, pushing the colour, just to make it look a little bit more realistic. So it looks like the skin is bruised. It looks like her eyes, look at the camera for me. It looks like her eyes are closing. So I'm just going to darken up under her eyes now. So look up to this guy. So using a fluffy head brush and really close to the eyelashes, I'm just going in with a really dark colour eyeshadow. She doesn't like that. It's too tiddly for her. So again, fluffy head brush. So this is my fluffy head brush. Dark eyeshadow and just down underneath the bottom lashes. Bring it down. So again, little and often. So just add little tiny bits to make it look realistic. And just dragging the brush downwards, down towards the top of her cheekbones. And it just gives that realistic appearance. So I'm just going to darken up again on the inside of her eyes. And then I'm going to add some scrapes to her cheeks. So to add some scrapes to her cheeks, I'm literally just going to get some PVA glue. And I'm going to paint it on. It's a bit cold. Really thinly onto her cheek. And then I'm going to add some tissue paper over it. So again, make sure you pull the tissue paper apart, get it into nice thin sections, put it onto the area where you've put the PVA glue, and then just add some more PVA glue on top of it. So I'm not going to do the same amount of layers on her face as I did on her hand, because I just wanted to look like she's brushed her face or scraped it off the ground or something like that. So just painting on the PVA glue, really thin layer of tissue, and just using the PVA glue, just blending that tissue into the skin. Now I'm going to let it dry for a second. Oops. So I hope you're all really enjoying today. Like, the whole purpose of this is to give you something to do with the kids during midterm break and during lockdown. I know in my house, my kids don't understand why they're not allowed to go back out to play with their friends, and they're feeling very hard done by. So that was the idea behind today, was for me, obviously, to spend some time with my kids and to help other people, give them some ideas and tips and tricks to entertain their own, basically, and in a fun, easy way. So it's harmless. I'm going to do the same on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm going to do different looks. So if you have any comments of looks that you really want me to do, my idea is to do a slit throat and the Joker on Wednesday, the Joker smile on Wednesday. But again, if you want me to do something else, I'm absolutely happy to do that as well. So it takes a little bit longer for this to dry. So while that's drying, I'm going to just get the toothpick, dip it in some fake blood, and just literally just pull it down her face. So it looks like she's been scrubbed by a cat or something. So it's really effective. Again, I really believe that the kids should get dressed up on Halloween. I love Halloween. It's one of my favourite holidays. It's one of my kids' favourite holidays. Normally we would go down to my mum and I'll get dressed up and go around her estate. And this year we have a new niece that we're not going to spend time with, which is really heartbreaking. But yeah, I'd love to be doing this down in Bettystown this Halloween, but we'll do it at home instead. So now the PVA glue is nearly dry. You can see when I'm putting my finger on it, it's staying in place. This little area here is still a little bit wet, but don't worry about that. I'm going to use the toothpick and literally just draw some lines down through the tissue. And then using the black face paint or black or dark colour eyeshadow, I'm going to use the toothpick to go into those lines just to make them appear deeper. They'll look like scabs then when we're finished. So using your toothpick, I'm actually just using a dark colour eyeshadow, similar to the one I used around her eyes there. I'm just pushing it in to where I've pulled the scrapes into place. Yeah. So now using the cotton wool that's dipped in food colouring, literally just going to get a really fine piece of it. So just a tiny hair of it and push it into the gap. Pull it down. And what that does is it just makes that scrape appear a lot deeper than what it is. So another little hair of cotton wool dipped in food colouring and just pulling it down through that gap. Now getting a sponge with some food colouring or fake blood on it and just pat it in on any area where there's tissue. So again, by patting it in, it's not going to go runny or run all over the place. So you can see there, it's really effective when you do the dark eyeshadow and then filling it in with that little bit of cotton wool. Then using the pointy bit of my sponge, I just dipped it in a tiny bit of fake blood there and went all over the PVA glue and the tissue just so that it doesn't look white anymore. It looks more like skin. So I'm going to use whatever's left on the tissue here and just push it in underneath her eyes. Look up to this guy for me. A little bit of fake blood. Sorry, too close. Sorry. She doesn't like me working on her at all. I'll have to find a new model now for Wednesday. So yeah, I really like that look. I hope you all enjoyed it. Anybody, any questions? No, you all seem to be happy out there. So again, in order to remove this safely, I'm going to use some oil all over her face to remove it. So I'll do it section by section. You want to keep it on? She wants to keep it on. I think she's going to ring her friends. That's a sign of doing a good job, huh? When your daughter actually wants to keep it on. So what I would do, in fairness, to remove it, when I do this even when I'm removing my own makeup, I literally get the oil and I put it all over my face, work it in with my hands and then remove it. Oh, sorry, Johan. Oh yeah, removed the hand, but I'll repost the videos after this and then you'll be able to watch through it again. So what I did, Johan, is basically I removed it with oil, and that's what I would do with this face makeup as well. I put oil all over the face and then work it in, and then either with a face cloth or just some warm water, rinse it off. It'll stop the food colouring from staining, and it's also gentle on the skin as well. So especially if you've used it on your kids. Again, when you want something to appear deeper, make it dark. So if you put the PVA glue on, put the tissue on, let it dry, then make a little incision with either a toothpick or scissors, and then darkening that area makes it appear that it's much deeper, and then you can fill it with whatever you want. So coffee, sorry, this way you have a fantastic model. Thanks so much, Andrina. She'd be delighted to hear that. Yeah, so if you want to make it appear deeper, you put dark in there. So either a dark colour eyeshadow or a dark colour face paint will make it appear deeper. If you want to make it more gory and make it look more like guts, mix some cotton wool or tissue paper. So just get the tissue paper and pull it apart so that's down to one ply, and then just literally pull it down into small sections, mix it in with the food colouring or the fake blood. I'll just do some here for you so you can see what I'm doing. So I have a little bit of fake blood, just pour in there, or food colouring, and some ripped up tissue. Just put it in, and using your stick, just mix it all together. And it just turns into guts. And then you just fill the holes with the guts, and then add in some coffee beans to make it look darker. If you want the PVA glue to look more like skin, what to do is get some PVA glue and add in a couple of drops of foundation. So a nice watery consistency foundation, and mix it together. So if you mix the PVA glue and the foundation together, then it'll look more like skin. So I'm just mixing it up there. And then as that gets to set, it'll set like skin. So just mix it around. I'll just put a little bit on her face so you can see what way it'll dry in. So just PVA glue and foundation mixed together. And then you can layer it up and layer it up, make it thicker if you like. And then as it dries, using your toothpick, you just start to pick it up off the skin so it looks like it's actually falling off her face, or falling off her hand, or falling off her leg, or whatever the case may be. So it takes a few minutes to dry. Sometimes what I do is I just get a hairdryer on a really low, cool heat, and put it on the area to dry, especially if you're using it on the hands or the leg, or an area of the face that's not too sensitive. You could definitely go over it with the hairdryer to dry it off a little bit quicker and allow you to work faster. But if you've got plenty of time in your hands, that's fine. Just do layer by layer and go from one area to the other. So like what I did with the nose, I put the PVA glue and the pritt stick there and left that to set, and then started painting the eyes, and then came back to that area. So you can see here, it's starting to dry out. And then what I can do is just using my finger, putting it onto the PVA glue and then pulling it apart, and it'll just start to come away like skin that's fallen off the face. So I really, really hope that you enjoyed today. I will be back on Wednesday at the same time, and Thursday at the same time. It's going to be completely different looks, the next two classes. Again, if there's anything that you want me to show you how to do, just add it in the comments. I'm going to be saving this video and sharing it back onto Facebook. So I hope to see you all on Wednesday and Thursday. Have a fabulous week. Enjoy the midterm, and don't get too stressed out with this lockdown. See you all soon. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you all joining today. Bye.